If you think about starting your own business, if that thought has ever crossed your mind, then stay tuned and listen to Real Possibilities. Welcome. You are some of my all-time favorite people in the whole wide world, small business owners. I still have a desire to try that road again. I've done it once or twice, but you have done it successfully for quite some time. So happy to have all of you with us to talk about small businesses and how they are literally the cornerstone of America and all that they bring to our country. So welcome, and so glad you're here. Tim, before we get into the specific businesses that we have here today with us today, talk a little bit about the impact of small business on our economy and how important they are.
Yeah, well, thank you, Paula, for having us here today. I'm certainly honored to be part of this with your other guests as well. And I think, you know what, our region's small businesses, probably like every small business in this country, has been challenged in ways that they never ever would have imagined, over the last 18 months. And I think when we look at everything that our business community has done here to not only, I think, survive and thrive and keep people employed and working, has just been nothing short of miraculous and whatnot. And there's all these adjectives, right, that we've all thrown out over the last 12 or 18 months and whatnot. But I really do believe at the end of the day, and we captured this in a Voice of Small Business campaign we did earlier this year. And it is really around the resiliency. It's around the teamwork, the community aspect as well. And everyone's still focused on our community and community growth and the innovation, the safety and opportunity. And the safety piece of that is, I think we heard from day one, is that all of the businesses that were operating, their first and foremost priority was keeping their people safe and keeping their customers and visitors safe as well. And you know what, I know, and working with our other guests here as well, I know they were, right there as well. And I think the last thing you say is we all talk about this Midwest mentality, and we're just, at the end of the day, we just kind of get up and we go to work every day. And I think we all live that, over the last year and a half as well. It's just the work ethic, from here in not only our region, but here in the Midwest as well.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. We hear stories all the time about other types of businesses. I remember you and I both were on the retained GM and some of the major businesses, but sometimes we forget about to focus on the small businesses and all that they've gone through and what it means to have them in our community. And so let's talk about your businesses. And you got what I forgive my more common language. We got 3 chicks in charge with us today. 3 CEOs or executives who have lived through this last year and 18 months, year and a half, longer than that actually, and have tremendously successful businesses. And at AARP, there are a lot of older adults who are looking to start their own business. Their children are out of their home, they're out of college, and they're thinking about that what's next, the recareering, the reimagining their life. And so your words of wisdom today might encourage and or inspire them, because you've made it. You've gotten through some of the worst times. So I'd like to start by each of you telling us a little bit about your business and what you do. And Kelly, would you like to start? And then we'll go to Ashley and then Janice.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paula. Thanks for having me this morning. But my name is Kelly Preston. I am the owner of Capital Steel and Wire. We are a hot roll and cold drawn steel manufacturer and distributor. And we have 4 locations in Michigan and Ohio.
How long have you been the CEO there?
I have been the CEO for 8 years, and we've been in business for 20 years. My husband and I started it 20 years ago. We just celebrated that milestone. So.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Fantastic. Ashley, tell us about your business.
Yeah, thanks, Paula, for having me. My business is called Michigan Premier Events. We're an event management company for corporate, association, and government. And so what we do is we help businesses and organizations succeed through their events and programming by managing those. So we manage a lot of the key stakeholders, the vendors, and we kind of are the ones that kind of put the puzzles together for businesses to have their company program meetings and events thrive through that. So we're located right in downtown Lansing.
And you are all over this. I know that you all work directly with the chamber for all of their economic club events, and you've sent me a couple emails 3 or 4 times saying.
Yeah, absolutely. We work with a lot of associations and also bankers as well too, and just a lot of businesses in the Lansing area as well as the Detroit and Grand Rapids area too. And
how many years did you say you've been in business?
So the the business has been and for 5 years, but I've had my company for 15 years. So we kind of transitioned our services, but altogether 20, but for the event management, we've been in business for 5.
Great, fantastic. And Janice, how are you? Tell us about
I'm
your.
good.
Good.
Thanks for inviting me to this today.
Absolutely.
My name is Janice Milligan. I own Doggy Daycare and Spa. We have 2 locations, one in Lansing, in Delta Township, and the other one in Okemos in Meridian Township. We do cageless daycare, boarding, grooming, and training classes for pet dogs. We've been in business for 21 years, just in October, celebrated 21 years.
Wow.
Been the owner, president, and CEO since 2005.
Wow. Wow. Fantastic. And you're located downtown now, right?
No, I got one on Mount Hope Highway,
Okay.
Lansing, and then my other location is on Grand River in Okemos.
On Grand River. Okay.
Grand River
Fantastic.
for now.
So this last 18 months, I mean, people have said that if businesses are going to if they make it through these last 18 months, then they're going to make it. They're going to be successful because so many businesses have closed their doors and they may or may not open them again. So talk about some of the challenges and how you got through those challenges during this pandemic. Who wants to start?
Yeah, I'm happy to go first. So being in the event industry, I know it's a 1.5 trillion worldwide event industry, and it's really taken a toll through the pandemic. And so we work with a lot of different vendors. When it comes to putting the events together, a lot of the vendors we're actually going through a lot of critical times with the supply chain going on, just with the whole lockdown, with the guidelines that were in stake. A lot of the vendors that we worked with, they couldn't operate. And so a lot of what we had to do is really transition and really be innovative. And so we really had to switch the whole kind of dynamic of when it comes to events. There was a lot of in-person events that were happening, but we had to change the scope to virtual events. And so a lot of the challenges were basically changing kind of like the whole servicing when it comes to the event industry. And so a lot of innovation was taken in place. And so what we've done is we reached out into the community. We understand that events help businesses be successful because it's a lot of the funding, it's a lot of the engagement. And so what we did is we just kind of did the whole sketchboard of how can we be innovative in helping businesses really still succeed because in-person events were happening. And so what we've done is, helping businesses go from in-person to virtual because we knew that the whole digital dynamic was really scared for folks because they were in that space. So we helped transition that way. And then also too, what we've done is we've done a lot of community events. We've done a lot of partnerships and put together events safely for the community to participate on because of the lot of safety protocols. And so we try to take those challenges and turn them into opportunities by being really innovative.
Excellent. That's kind of a true warrior. And Tim, I'm certain that you've heard story after story about how businesses had to pivot these last 18 months or so.
All the time, and we're still hearing it. And we work, as Ashley mentioned, very closely with Ashley on all of our programs and events now, and it pushed us, and I think it's what it did with business as well. It's sort of, I don't know, I say like accelerated innovation. I mean, we all had to do things differently, and we had to learn to do them differently very quickly. And you know what? We all made mistakes along the way. And I know Ashley can remember the first webinar we had. It was a complete disaster. It was just a disaster. But you regroup and you do things differently and you learn. And I know that, and we hear it every day from whether it's small business to large business. I think everyone had to do things much differently. But I really do think it accelerated innovation without question.
Yeah, and Kelly, this is not for the faint of heart. Going into business sounds glamorous, but we all know that it is again it's for warriors. It's not for the faint of heart. So, what motivated you and your husband to start your business?
Well, I would probably say at the heart of it was risk reward. So, you, like you said, you have got to be willing to be someone who will risk a lot for hopefully a big reward in the end. But there's a lot of hard work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that will go into that. But for me and my husband at the time, I think we knew we were risking a lot. It was was a risky, to start your own business is a risky proposition, but we knew in the end, if we worked hard, the reward would be beneficial, not only for us and our family, but also for our community and our employees and everyone else that we work with.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, it's not, and this is such an unusual business for a woman to be in as well, the steel industry that, how many people like you? How many women are running a steel company?
Not many. I think I could write a book about some of the stories that I have walking into other facilities or having customers or vendors walk into our facility. And I have quite a few that walk right by me and will walk to the nearest male that are standing next to me. So it's been an interesting journey. It's been a lot of growth for me, but also opportunity for me to show a lot of people, a lot of other businesses and employees that, anyone can do any job as long as they have the skills to do it. And they
I like that.
hard.
I like that. And they can learn the skills. I mean, that's part of the, none of us, I didn't know anything about Zoom or Teams or webinars before all this happened. So that's a kind of a promotion that I think the Michigan Works has as well as a continuous learning. They'll never stop learning. So we were forced to learn new ways to do business. Whether you're young, old, or whoever you are, all of us have been forced during all of this to learn some new skill sets. And Janice, I mean, doggy daycare, come on, just saying the name, brings, warms our heart, right? But people weren't traveling as much during COVID and they weren't out, leaving their dogs behind. So how did you survive during these last 18 months?
Well, at the beginning, it was very tough, when, back in March of 2020, when kind of the world shut down, right? My business was actually considered an essential business and I was able to stay open. However, I chose to close because our main part of our business is the daycare. So dogs that just come for the day and hang out and play and then get home at the end of the day. And then we do boarding for dogs that are able to come to daycare. So, our boarding reservations just stopped, right? I mean, anybody that was scheduled canceled. And so I just closed the business down because one of the things was we didn't know how what was really going to happen with this. How was I going to keep my staff safe? How are we going to have clients come into the building? So I took that time to put together a plan. We reopened, offered the daycare, right away. We still did not do very much boarding really until summer. And it's still, numbers were down. We worked with less people. Everyone worked a little bit harder. I have an amazing team of people that have been very loyal, that have stayed with me for a long time and, worked really hard through this. We're still, we did curbside service for a long time, which, helped minimize contact and people passing in our reception area. We are now allowing people in, but we're still requiring masks because I just want to keep my team safe. Mm-hmm. I have team members with little kids, and I want them to be able to take care of the dogs. If they get sick with COVID, then they can't come in and perform their duties. And it's not a job that people can really just call into, because they have to be there to take care of the animals because they're live animals. But people are starting to move around again. So our business is getting better. I would also say that in 2020, with everyone home, everyone thought that was a great time to go ahead and get a dog, get a puppy. So we've seen a huge increase nationwide in people with pets. And we're seeing it in the industry I'm in. Veterinarians are seeing it. Dog trainers are seeing it. Anybody in any pet related industry is really seeing the effects of this boom. So if anybody's interested in getting into veterinary medicine or dog care or animal care, it's a great time to do it.
There's so many lessons that have been learned by all of us, as we talked about before. So for people who are listening, who are thinking about starting their own business or wanting to start their own business, what kind of advice would you give them? What do they need to know and to do? Not the business plan and the banking and the financing. Folks know about that, and the chamber can help with that a little bit through some of their different advisory councils. But tell me, let's start with you. What advice would you give people who want to start their own business? Let's kind of go through all of you. Let folks know what they need, what they don't know that they should know.
So you're going to start with the chamber person, as opposed to like the business owners who actually have done this, right? But
Well, you have this, I know you have still have this advisory council that advises businesses on everything from their financing to their marketing to their insurance, right?
yeah, there are so many resources that are out there, and over the years, we've had a program that's actually run through the Small Business Association. It's a Service Corps of retired executives that have done a lot of that type of mentoring type of work, and there's still some great resources here through our economic development partners with LEAP and what they're doing in the entrepreneurial space and the Small Business Development Center that will sit down, because I think at the end of the day, and I think, Kelly mentioned this, it's that risk reward, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And so being able to sit down with some of those resources that are out there and kind of walk through and understand that, what this looks like and what is the marketing plan, and how does a P&L work, and what is a budget, and all of those types of things. And so I don't know what the rates are, but the first 2 years of starting a business, I mean, it's risky. It's risky in a solid, when the economy is doing well, it's risky, and let alone when you're kind of going through what we went through the last 18 months. But I go back to what Kelly said, and it's that risk reward. And I think for folks that do that and they take that risk, I don't think we should ever shame anybody into capitalism, right? Making money is a good thing, and they're employing a lot of people. And our small business, small businesses, they say nationally represent, like, what is it, 80% of the workforce, I think, are through small businesses and so forth. And so I think it's great to see the success from folks when they take that risk and they're successful.
There are a lot of cottage industry businesses that started up as well. There are people making masks and doing all sorts of things during this time. So people have gotten a little bit of a taste of that. And you see signs everywhere that says, hiring, we're hiring. The ARP has a program called Experience for Hire, hiring older adults. Keep them in mind. Industries and this research has shown that they are dependable, that there's less drama, that they can rely on them. So if people are interested in Experience for Hire, looking at hiring older adults, get in touch with aarp.org, or just call us and talk to Andrea Palmer. But Kelly and Janice and Ashley, in like a couple of seconds or so, give us, what would you tell people if they want to start their own business? What advice would you give them?
I would say that they need to understand that it's 24/7, You don't clock in and out. You're always available. So especially at the beginning, there's not one thing that my employees do that I haven't done myself. So.
Good, that's good. And Ashley, what about you?
Go for it. If you have an idea that you want to pursue, turn it into a business. Now's the time to do it. A lot of businesses right now are changing up their services. They're changing the whole landscape of their business, and just go after it. And most importantly is educate yourself and find a mentor.
Yeah, that sounds easier said than done. People will have the most wonderful dreams in their head, right? And they stay
Right.
in their head. They stay in there because they're scared to make that first step. So it's easier said than done. Kelly.
Yeah, I was going to say two things. The first is, and it kind of goes off what Tim said, and that's don't be afraid to fail. Put yourself out there and go for it, as Ashley said. But another thing is something I've heard you say before, Paula, and that's bring your whole self to the table. We all have unique experiences and have all been through different facets of life, and we can bring that to our dream and to what you want to pursue. And I think it's important that people embrace that and celebrate, every single piece of themselves and put that into their dream and their business.
That's excellent advice. And people need to know what they want. Are they doing this just so they can starting a business so they can sell it to someone else? Is it a long term? They want to end up having their family come into the business. It's getting more and more rare to have second or third generation businesses in our community. But we need to know what the long-term goal is. I remember we had our 18-hole golf course and the other two partners wanted to sell it. And I cried because I like just going behind the bar eating potato chips without paying for them. So we got to know what we want out of our business, right? We got to know what the long-term goals are as well. You all are absolutely phenomenal women and men. And so we've got about 1 minute left. So please tell the future. What's your future? What does the future look like for your business? Are you positive, just a little leery? Is there anything in the Build Back Better plan that's going to help you? We've just got, again, about 1 minute left. So this has to be a short response. Thank you. Who wants to start?
I just say things look good for us. I just want to continue to employ more people, be able to get people in the door. And also for us, it's supply chain and keeping things readily available so that we can keep the manufacturing going, so we can get products to the rest of the community and other businesses out there. So
Absolutely. It's a real issue. Janice.
Oh, I'm looking forward to meeting more dogs, seeing more dogs come through the door.
All right. I like that. Ashley.
Well, with Janice saying meeting more dogs, for us, it's getting more humans to be engaged and keeping the event scene going for businesses and keeping it safe.
That's great. Tim, what does the future of the chamber look like?
You know what? It looks great. And we're fortunate to have amazing businesses here in our region that continue to support the work that we're doing and my team is doing as well. And I don't know, we're pretty optimistic right now with where we look. There's certainly some industries that are continuing to struggle and recover a little bit slower than others. But you know what? We're optimistic as we wrap up this year and look forward to 2022.
There's an old saying, but they say attitude determines altitude, right? So as long as we stay positive and try to problem solve and figure things out, then we can all be a little bit more successful. And again, for those of you who are looking at hiring someone, just contact apalmer@aarp.org. The email is on your website there, because for Experience for Hire, we've got some older adults who are looking for part-time, full-time work. And all of you, once again, just thank you. You don't get nearly enough accolades and kudos for the work that you do. So thank you so very much for being a part of our community. Appreciate you sharing with everyone real possibilities. Thank you. Amy, thank you for being with us again. We're going to continue our conversation about our care once we've had some kind of hospital stay, nursing home stay, and people are going home. What options are available? Does insurance pay for those options? What do people need to think about post any kind of healthcare situation?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, Medicare is going to cover anything that has to do with your health or rehab up to a point. But what you need to think about when you're thinking about going home is who's going to care for you once you're home. I mean, because a lot of times when you come out of rehab, you're not exactly tip-top shape. So you're going to need a little bit of extra help. What the insurance companies don't cover are things that you do with your activities of daily living. So like toileting, transferring out of bed to your wheelchair or walker, bathing, dressing, eating, all of those things are not covered under your insurance. So that's going to be something that's going to be an out-of-pocket expense. If you are planning on your family taking care of you once you get back home, you might want to make sure that they are aware of that because there's a lot of people that they don't want to talk about it. And these conversations need to happen. You have to have the conversation, say, look, I am coming home. I am going to need this, 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 and this. And if your family is not down for that, you need to kind of make sure that you've got somewhere that somebody's going to come in and be able to help you. So
and that's so important. I mean, we need to make certain that we plan ahead in order to have a successful post-care experience as well, correct? I mean, that's
absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a family. It could be your trusted friend or someone that you know and trust completely. Thank you, Amy. That's excellent.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Dr. Amy Trin. I'm here with Dr. Joshua June from Great Lakes Center of Rheumatology. So today, I'm going to ask Dr. June some questions. I've noticed that in my practice, some patients are telling me that they're avoiding going outside and they are making an exception to come to our appointments, but they also don't want to go to some other doctor's appointments. What do you feel is the impact of that?
I think that for good reason, people are afraid of COVID and afraid of getting sick. And a lot of ingenious methods have been used, such as using telehealth and online shopping, and basically keeping at home as best they can has helped people to avoid large crowds and keep themselves safe. But I think it's extremely important to maintain your relationship with your primary care and specialist so that you get routine checks, your blood pressure is under control, your blood sugars are under control, your routine bodily maintenance, so to speak, colonoscopies, to make sure that you're protecting yourself with preventative health care. This is more important for your long-term health goals than necessarily just staying at home or avoiding these necessary visits to your physician. So my recommendation is protect yourself by getting the vaccine if it's right for you. Wear a mask when you go out, and make sure that your doctor's office, which they should be wearing a mask and cleaning all surfaces as well. This has already been shown to be a very unlikely place to contract COVID or other diseases. So my recommendation is that they continue maintaining their health as they would have before COVID.
Hello, my name is Craig Stiles. I'm a financial advisor with Ameriprise Financial. I get asked many questions in regards to the financial practice and what we do. And the biggest one that kind of comes up is, how do you get paid? There are a wide variety of ways in which financial advisors get paid. And as a fiduciary, we always have to work on the best interests of our clients. And there's particularly a big bias for financial advisors in a wide variety of ways. And the bias typically goes through and looking at, well, if you're a wealth management advisor, are you being paid based on a percentage of assets that you're actively managing? Or are you charging a fixed fee, such as kind of like what an attorney would do, to where if you come in for an overall financial plan, you sit down with a financial advisor, you write them a check, they submit you and provide you with the plan, and then you take that information, you go off and implement yourself. So most of what my group and my team does, we basically put that into the hands of the individual or the client, if you will. The reason being is that I want the client to have in control in regards to what they pay us, what they think we are worth, what our value is. And in many circumstances, most of my business, for example, is in a fee-based platform, in that we actively manage, we make the decisions, we act as fiduciary in a client's best interest, understanding what their full goals are required or what their needs are throughout retirement and as I build up into retirement. So as we're going through and building their portfolio over time, we get a percentage of those percentage of the assets that grow over time, but the client controls how much goes into what we actively manage. So we'll advise them on their entire financial life in regards to their insurance that they have, in regards to the investment disciplines that we incorporate. So I would encourage you to kind of talk with the different financial advisors, and don't be afraid to ask that question. How do you get paid?
There's so many options that we have as we age. Hopefully today you receive some news that you can use.